Well, happy Wednesday to you. It is a chilly day out there after yesterday. Speaking of yesterday, I do want to say thank you to the folks who opened their doors to me, opened their homes to me. I was out door knocking up in the Little Ridge area and I had a fantastic time. You know, people ask me, and I love this. They said, well, what are you about? Why are you running? And of course, as you know, if you've been following me for any time now, I'm about building up St. Stephen. There are things that we need to build up, whether that is roads, whether that is infrastructure, that is the obvious things, but also our sense of confidence. And we need to build up transparency and communication. That doesn't necessarily mean that the current or past governments have been hiding something from you. But it is amazing to me, I just continue to say this, that we do not see cohesive, unified statements from the office of the mayor. There's no social media. There's no official statements coming out. As a resident, I haven't had a sense of what is going on, what we're doing. You can access that information if you get really deep in the weeds, as we have been doing. But things like, capital reports or campaigns or just even the order of work that we are doing with the capital budget. People are asking me, are roads getting fixed? How do we know which roads are getting fixed? And of course, I did a video on that last week. So information is out there. I believe we need to build up St. Stephen, and I believe that needs to be communicated to you so you can feel good and confident and trust your council and have pride where you live, knowing we are building things up and building each other up. But when you don't get information about that, you don't really know. So now today I want to, kind of by way of, it's almost like a pop quiz, like a review, when we get to this document here that I've been going through, the Practical Guide for Candidates who are running in the election. So if you are running, whether it's for mayor or council, welcome to the race. So this is for you, but also this is great for residents like yourself. It's kind of like, as I've said, a municipal governance 101 course in a way, this document. It's really great. So we talked a bit about it yesterday, the what council does, doesn't do, shouldn't do. But I want to share with you this really great infographic page that is coming up next, and it's the structure of your local government. And now, I'm an infographic sucker. you can guess from this very rudimentary illustration that I've been using since day one here about how your local government works. This one is an alternative to that. That they have published in this document. But really what I want to do here, I've got it in my hand, but I've also got it on my computer screen. I want to talk you through what they say in summary, council members coming off of yesterday, what they must do. There's a list here of several things. And if you've been following along, this is kind of, like I say, a review for you, because we have been saying this for a while. So I was really happy to see this in here. Council members must, and I'll ask you, so think about it, when I say these, do you understand this? And if you don't, maybe it means I haven't talked about it enough. But first thing, council members must understand the difference between governing and managing day-to-day operations. Governing and day-to-day operations, what's the difference? So just if I give you a second, put on the Jeopardy music, could you answer that? Because that's something every candidate needs to understand. So if somebody comes to your door or says they're running, please ask them about this. Do you understand the difference between governing and day-to-day operations and the role of council? So here it just says you must understand the difference. Of course, as we've discussed this, you know that governing is about the what, based on resident feedback, bylaws, resolutions, where we are going, what we are going to do, and council decides based on what the residents desire. Now, the governance of everyday operations, that of course is this bottom half, the administration led by the CAO and managed by the CAO. So what is up here? How is down there, right? And that's really important. That's a functional local government. And if that's not happening, then it is dysfunction. So we've kind of covered that. Communicate. Secondly, communicate with the administration through the CAO, right? The council communicates through the CAO. The council does not go around the CAO directly to directors or department heads or staff themselves. That is not how it works. The CAO is that touch point, often through the mayor. The council and mayor direct the CAO. The council directs the mayor, right? So this is, again, how it should function and how I will make sure your government functions. So you're not wondering as a resident who's running the show. Next, carry out their responsibilities as part of a team making decisions. Council is a team. We have talked about this before. There's no I in council. It is only we. Decisions are made. Decisions are adopted. Yes, there will be a vote where you have individual opinions, but once the decision is made, it is that is the consensus, and that is the direction that the council is now moving in, and then the staff will implement that decision. Act honestly and responsibly to make the community's interest a priority. That, of course, there is a code of conduct, and that is important. That is actually listed out in the code of conduct for council members, and that is mandated by the Local Governance Act that there needs to be a code of conduct in place for your municipal council. Never share private information about their work. So there are in-camera sessions, right? Closed sessions of council. And people's privacy must be guarded in that sense. That is something for the mayor to constantly be skating, making sure that they are honoring this, never share private information, but that is an important distinction. Not all information is private. There's confidential, there's private, and there's things going on behind the scenes that can be shared. And again, I think a lot of mayors who don't communicate are just worried about getting too close to that line, whereas that is the challenge of being mayor. That is part of the role of communicating what is happening without violating confidentiality and privacy. But if you go 100 yards back from that and never share anything, well, yes, you'll never run afoul of this stipulation because you're not saying anything at all. But then other voices start to fill the void. Other, rumors, disinformation, confusion, anger, frustration. And I do think we are seeing that right now at this juncture with the challenges in St. Stephen. And we need a mayor that frankly diffuses that by understanding how to navigate this well. The next thing, put the community's long-term interests ahead of short-term political gains. And that's all levels of politics, right? But we need to make sure that when we talk, for example, about if we go $50 million in debt paving every road next week, that is a long-term problem. That residents might be thrilled, but we need real fiscal responsibility. Municipalities have a responsibility to be the most fiscally conservative level of government, I would say. First of all, they have to run balanced budgets. They can't run deficits and things like that, like other levels of government. And we saw the provincial budget yesterday. There is a deficit, etc., spending, hoping that in the future things improve. Municipal governments can't do that. They can take on debt, but they do need to pay the interest and the balance and make sure that we are not looking into a future where we are mostly servicing the debt, right, and trading off our growth in that way. So that's really important. That's a priority for me. I do believe that as a corporation, a municipality needs to be profitable in the sense of not running massive deficits that will come to roost, as we've seen with roads and pipelines and things like that. Pipelines. No oil. I meant infrastructure, water pipes and sewage and things like that. Participate actively and respectively in council and committee meetings. So participate. There's, again, the code of conduct for sure. Engage with the community while respecting council processes. There's a procedure bylaw. I've touched on that. And you can read about committee of the whole meetings, regular council meetings regulated by that bylaw. But it is important, I think, for the community, residents like yourselves, to be able to speak in these meetings with limitations, with boundaries for sure. But I don't like the idea that, well, we're afraid of what somebody might say when they come to the lectern. And what I have seen, again, I think some of the anger and frustration is the lack of answers and the lack of transparency. I've been in customer service with my own business for 15 years. And when somebody, 10 years of my own business, in business, in other contexts for, 5 years before that, after my master's degree. And, nothing upsets a customer more when they are not hearing back, when they do not know what is going on, when they are not getting a reply, especially if they feel like they paid into it already. And I think we're seeing some of that with residents here, which is why we need improved leadership in that regard. And the last thing, continue professional development and local governance. That just means taking more courses, improving yourself. I do believe, especially as a mayor, like there's training that can be done. I really want to see training conducted after the election. It is voluntary. The province decided not to make it mandatory, but I definitely want our council and myself to go through that training. There was discussion in the previous council meeting last week in the committee of the whole meeting. How can a municipality make it mandatory? The CAO said yes, you can tie it to the honorarium, for example. There's monthly payments that go to councillors and the mayor. It is an honorarium, it's not a salary, but you can make that conditional on whether or not certain training was done. And if we want excellence in our council and level of government, then training would be a part of that, just like any job, right? So that's really important as well. Now, I want to show you this because it's such a great version of this. Who did it better? But it's another way of thinking about it. So do you see here how this is kind of the infographic, the structure of local government? You have the council is on top, right? The council is at the top of the hierarchy. The mayor is part of the council, and the deputy mayor is part of council. So they are a whole unit. But you'll notice the mayor is not at the top. And that's really important for you to understand, for mayoral candidates to understand, that the mayor serves under the authority of council, leads council. It says here, the mayor leads the council, acts as a spokesperson, chairs the meetings, sits on the board of the Regional Service Commission. The Regional Service Commission board, as we've mentioned, is made up primarily of the mayors, and then the committee chair of the rural district, and then, of course, the CEO of the Regional Service Commission. So that's the mayor's role. And then the deputy mayor is not elected by elected at large by residents. The deputy mayor will be chosen by the council after the election, once the council is inaugurated and sits. Okay, so the council, though, is the main decision-making group. The what and mayor and deputy mayor sit underneath, hierarchically speaking. Even though the mayor leads the council, it is like a chair of a board. It is a chair of a board, like I said. But if you're familiar with how boards work, then you understand how the chair is kind of facilitating the discussion, leading, setting meetings, helping with the agenda, things like that. Then you have the CAO under here, right? And the CAO is serving under the direction of the council, as we said here. Remember this? So top of the staff triangle there. And the chief administrative officer, I did a whole series looking back. You can go find that in previous videos. This is the only position reporting directly to the council. I really like seeing that here because I have said, there's only one employee of council. It's kind of like a little pithy cliche. One employee of council. Council only has one employee, and that's the CAO. And that therefore the CAO reports directly to the council. They implement council decision, oversee staff, ensure staff recommendations are brought to council. They develop work plans. They supervise local government operations. In some local governments, they are the treasurer and the clerk as well. The Local Governance Act requires that there be a clerk and a treasurer for local governments. In our case, these are separate positions. We have a CAO, we have a treasurer, and we have a clerk. They are all separate positions. These positions are mandatory, as I just said that, and the clerk and the treasurer may interact directly with council. The clerk, for example, will certify bylaws and things like that. And of course, the treasurer handles the budget and makes sure the money is moving properly and being taken care of. So this, as I said, really helpful. It is kind of a roundup review. It's something every candidate should know. And so if you're interested in kind of discovering the level of awareness of a council, definitely a councilor or candidate rather, somebody running for mayor or council, kind of gently maybe quiz them on this kind of thing. Really important for you to know as a resident to know not just how your government works, but as almost an evaluation of, is your local government functional or dysfunctional? We're going to make sure we have a functional government as we build up St. Stephen. As as I'm leading a council that you can trust, and as we work together to build up a home that we are proud of, sharing an action plan that you understand every step of the way. All right, have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, friends. Check out buildupststephen.ca for my priorities, my commitments, my action plan. You can drop me a message anywhere. You can drop me a message through the website or comment under this video. I do read everything you send, and I definitely try to respond. I'm going to talk more about signs that are coming up. I'm getting those printed, and I'll give you a donation update, but I really could use your help in those regards. buildupststephen.ca or mark@buildupststephen.ca. Have a great rest of your day. Take care of yourself today and your neighbor, and let's build up St. Stephen together. Cheers.